The city was still half asleep when Samuel unlocked the side door of Greystone Corporation. His hands were rough from years of scrubbing, his uniform smelled faintly of disinfectant, and his shoes were the kind that left quiet echoes on marble floors. Each morning he pushed his cleaning cart through the hallways before sunrise, humming softly so he wouldn't wake the silence. In his wallet was a worn photo of a little girl with brown curls and a missing front tooth. Her name was Lily. Every time he looked at that picture, he reminded himself why he kept going. Samuel had not always been a janitor. Years ago, before the bills, before the grief, before the loneliness, he had been a musician. He used to play piano in bars, weddings, and sometimes at small jazz cafes downtown. His wife, Clara, used to sit near the stage, eyes closed, smiling as if each note was written for her. They had dreamed of buying their own piano someday, maybe teaching Lily how to play when she grew older. But life had a way of breaking rhythm. Clara fell ill, medical bills piled up, and the music stopped. When she passed, Samuel sold everything, including his beloved upright piano, to pay for the funeral. From that moment, silence became his daily soundtrack. Now at 47, Samuel cleaned offices where no one remembered his name. Executives rushed past him, too busy to greet the man who emptied their trash. Yet he never complained. Every night after his shift, he would pick up Lily from his neighbor's apartment, cook dinner, help with homework, and tuck her into bed. She would sometimes ask, "Daddy, did you play music today?" And he would smile sadly. "Not today, sweetheart. Maybe soon." That Friday was different. The company was buzzing with excitement. Greystone's annual celebration and the CEO's 50th birthday. Decorations were everywhere. Silver and gold balloons floated above the conference hall, and in the center of the room stood a grand piano, shining black like a mirror. It had been rented for the event because the CEO loved classical music. Samuel noticed it as he mopped the floor earlier that morning. He ran his fingers along the edge, feeling the smooth finish, the faint vibration of potential music beneath the surface. For a second he pressed one key, just to remember the sound. A pure, simple note echoed through the empty hall. He closed his eyes, and memories flooded back. Clara's laugh, Lily's giggle, the smell of coffee in their old apartment, the promise that he'd never stop playing. Then he heard footsteps and quickly returned to his cart. The moment vanished like a dream. That evening, as the party began, Samuel stayed nearby, cleaning the outer hallways, while music and laughter spilled from the main room. The employees were dressed in glittering suits and dresses, their laughter sharp, their champagne glasses clinking. Samuel quietly picked up discarded napkins and empty bottles. He didn't mind staying invisible. Invisibility had become his armor. Until someone noticed him for the wrong reason. "Hey, Sam!" a young employee called out, his voice half drunk with amusement. "You look like you want to play that piano." Another voice joined in. "Yeah, maybe our janitor's got some hidden talents." Laughter erupted around the room. Samuel tried to smile politely. "No, sir, I'm just cleaning up." "Don't mind me." But they wouldn't let it go. "Come on, just one song." "What's the harm?" "Play something for the birthday boy." More laughter followed. Even the CEO, seated with a glass of wine, turned his head and smiled at the scene unfolding. "Let him play," he said kindly, though his tone carried amusement. "A little fun won't hurt." Samuel froze. His heart pounded. He hadn't touched a piano in years, not since Clara's death. The thought of playing now in front of these strangers who saw him as a joke terrified him. But something inside whispered, "Do it for her. Do it for Lily." He slowly walked toward the piano. The room grew quiet, the laughter fading into anticipation. People exchanged smirks, waiting to see him embarrass himself. Samuel sat down, hands trembling slightly. He took a deep breath, letting his fingers hover over the keys. For a long second, he didn't move. Then he began. The first notes were soft, almost hesitant. But within moments, the sound transformed. It was a melody full of sorrow and beauty, woven with memory and loss. The laughter vanished. Every note told a story of a man who had loved deeply, lost painfully, and survived quietly. The song rose and fell like breathing, tender and haunting. Even the servers stopped moving. The clinking of glasses ceased, and the only sound that filled the hall was Samuel's music. The CEO leaned forward, eyes fixed on the janitor at the piano. He had heard professional musicians play at galas and charity balls, but never had he heard something so raw, so honest. The melody spoke of nights spent in loneliness, of a father's struggle to raise a daughter alone, of the ache of remembering love that time couldn't erase. When the final note faded, the silence that followed was thick and heavy. Then slowly the CEO stood and began to clap. The sound of applause spread through the room until everyone was standing, cheering not out of pity, but awe. Samuel looked up, eyes glistening. For the first time in years, he felt seen. The CEO walked over, tears visible in his eyes. "Where did you learn to play like that?" he asked softly. Samuel hesitated. "I used to play before my wife passed. I haven't played since." The CEO nodded slowly. "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." Someone shouted, "Encore!" But Samuel shook his head. "Thank you, but I should get back to work." The CEO smiled gently. "Not tonight. Tonight you're not a janitor." Samuel stood there, unsure what to say, overwhelmed by the sudden warmth in the faces around him. For so long those faces had been in different walls. Now they were open windows of empathy. Later that night, when the party was over and the hall was quiet again, Samuel stayed behind to finish cleaning. The CEO returned, jacket off, tie loosened, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. Samuel nodded. They sat in silence for a while. The CEO finally spoke. "You know, I started this company in my garage. Everyone here thinks success is about numbers, profits, charts. But you reminded me tonight that it's about something else." Samuel looked at him curiously. "What's that?" The CEO smiled faintly. "Heart." He sipped his coffee, then added, "I heard the pain in your music. I don't know your story, but whatever it is, it's powerful. Don't let it end here. There's a piano at the company lounge. It's yours any time." Samuel nodded, speechless. He didn't know how to thank him. When he returned home that night, Lily was asleep on the couch, her schoolbooks open beside her. He gently covered her with a blanket and kissed her forehead. She stirred and mumbled, "Did you play music today, Daddy?" He smiled through tears. "Yes, sweetheart. I did. The following weeks changed everything." Word of his performance spread through the company. Employees began greeting him by name. Some even asked for piano lessons during lunch breaks. The CEO arranged a small recital in the lobby every Friday, calling it Moments of Grace. Samuel would play while workers passed by, and for those few minutes the entire building felt different, warmer, more human. One afternoon, after a short concert, the CEO approached him again. "Sam, I've been thinking, how would you feel about leading a music outreach program? We fund instruments for underprivileged kids. I think you'd be perfect for it." Samuel's eyes widened. "Sir, I'm not qualified." The CEO interrupted gently. "You're more than qualified. You understand what music means. You've lived it." Months later, Samuel found himself teaching children how to play piano at a local community center, funded by Greystone. Lily sat in the front row, proud and smiling. Every key he pressed carried not just notes but healing. The music that once symbolized his loss now became his redemption. On the anniversary of Clara's passing, Samuel returned to the same grand piano at the company hall. The CEO and employees gathered silently. Samuel played the same melody he had played that first night, the one that stopped the room, the one that turned mockery into tears. When he finished, the CEO walked up and placed a small plaque on the piano. It read, "To Samuel Hayes, who reminded us that greatness has no title." Samuel touched the plaque, heart full, eyes wet. He looked out at the crowd, faces no longer blurred by indifference, and smiled. For the first time in years, the music didn't hurt. It healed. When he got home that night, Lily ran into his arms. "Daddy, your boss was on TV. He said you're a hero." Samuel laughed softly. "I'm no hero, sweetheart. I just played the song your mom loved." Lily hugged him tighter. "Then play it again." He sat at the small second-hand piano the CEO had gifted them and began to play. The notes filled their tiny apartment, reaching the heavens, where Clara surely listened. Narrator, final words, soft tone. Sometimes, life hides the most extraordinary souls in ordinary uniforms. Never laugh at someone's silence, because behind it might live a melody strong enough to make even the powerful cry.